She laughed as she walked out the restaurant door. At first, I thought she was joking. She always joked. But as the minutes turned into hours and the waiter kept refilling my water out of pity, I realized she wasn't coming back. That was 5 years ago. 5 years since the night my wife Chloe left me, sitting alone in a crowded restaurant in downtown Austin, Texas, surrounded by murmured whispers and sympathetic stares. 5 years since she shattered something inside me that I've never quite repaired. And now she's standing in front of me again, older, thinner, her hair shorter but still the same warm, chestnut brown that I used to trace with my fingers while she slept. Her lips part, eyes widening in disbelief as she looks over my shoulder. Because she's not staring at me. She's staring at the man standing behind me. But I'll get to that part. 5 years earlier, Chloe and I had been married for 3 years. She was laughter and light, a free spirit who could walk into a room and somehow make the air shimmer. I was more grounded, steady, quiet. We balanced each other, or so I thought. That night, she suggested dinner at a new Italian spot on South Congress. It was one of those places with soft jazz, warm lighting, and wine bottles stacked like art. We were seated at a corner table, candles flickering between us. I remember the way her face glowed in that light. Mischievous, beautiful, impossible to read. Halfway through dinner, she leaned in with that teasing smile. "Let's play a game," she said. "What kind of game?" "Let's see who can stay silent longer. Whoever speaks first pays the bill." I chuckled. "You always find ways to make things interesting." "Always," she winked. We fell quiet for a while. I remember thinking how strange it felt trying not to speak to the woman I loved. But when I finally gave in and opened my mouth to say something, she was gone. Her chair empty, her purse missing. I waited 10 minutes, 30, an hour. The waiter approached gently. "Sir, will the lady be returning?" I smiled awkwardly. "Yeah, I think so. It's a joke." But it wasn't. She never came back that night, or the next, or ever really. I called, texted, drove to her sister's place in Round Rock, her mom's in San Antonio, her friends all over town. Nobody knew where she was. Missing persons report, sleepless nights, 1,000 theories running wild in my mind. Accident, kidnapping, amnesia, anything but the truth. 3 months later, I received an envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside was our wedding ring, hers, not mine, and a note that said, "I'm sorry, don't look for me." That was it. Something inside me died the day I read that note. Years passed like ghosts. I sold the house on Travis Heights, stopped wearing my ring, tried to move on. Therapy helped, slowly. Friends dragged me out for beers at rainy street bars, blind dates, vacations to the hill country I didn't enjoy. But then one day, I met Sarah. She wasn't Chloe. She was quieter, steadier, and more real. There were no games, no mystery, just warmth. She helped me find laughter again. When we married 2 years later, I promised myself never to look back. I meant it. Until last week. I was at a charity gala, black tie work event, elegant crowd, at the Driscoll Hotel when I felt a tap on my shoulder. "Brandon," a voice said, soft and uncertain. It took me half a second to place it, then another to breathe. Chloe. The world seemed to tilt sideways. She looked almost the same, just worn. There was a tremor in her voice when she said, "You look good." I managed a stiff smile. "You disappeared, Chloe." Her eyes filled with tears instantly. "I know. I didn't mean to hurt you." didn't mean to." My voice cracked. "You vanished. No goodbye, just a note." People were watching, so she motioned toward the balcony. "Please, just give me 5 minutes." I followed her outside. The cool night air bit against my skin, or maybe that was the shock. "I was scared," she began. "I thought leaving was the only way." "Scared of what?" I asked. She shook her head. "No, of what I'd done." Her words hung in the air, sharp and unfinished. "What did you do, Chloe?" She hesitated. "That night at the restaurant, I wasn't playing a joke. I was meeting someone." I felt my chest tighten. She looked down. It wasn't supposed to happen, but I fell for him. It was stupid, reckless. I thought he loved me. I thought I was in love. I could hear the blood roaring in my ears. "You left your husband, our life, for someone else, without a word." "I was going to tell you," she said weakly. "But when I saw you sitting there waiting, looking so kind, I panicked. I couldn't face what I'd done. So I ran." She wiped her eyes. "And when it all fell apart, when he left me, I couldn't bear to reach out. You didn't deserve that pain twice." I wanted to hate her. I really did. But hearing her voice again after 5 years tangled everything. "Why now?" I asked. She hesitated, then said, "Because I saw your name in the papers. You're successful. Happy? I wanted to tell you I'm sorry in person before I left town. I'm moving abroad, starting over." I stared at her, every word slicing deeper than the last. "You already did that once, Chloe." She flinched. "I know. I ruined everything. You have every right to hate me." I didn't reply. There was nothing left to say. After a long silence, she whispered, "Can I ask you something? Do you ever think of me?" The question hit me like a sucker punch. "Yes," I said finally, "but not the way you hope." And with that, I turned and walked away. I thought that was the end, until tonight, 5 years since the night she left me in that restaurant. 1 week since that balcony conversation. I was sitting in the same restaurant, renovated now, brighter, new owners, when Sarah and I met friends for dinner. I almost didn't come, but fate has a twisted sense of humor. We were seated near the window, talking and laughing, when I noticed a familiar face across the room. Chloe, alone this time. No ring, no company, just her and a glass of wine, staring out the window like she was waiting for someone who'd never come. Our eyes met briefly. I saw her stiffen, the color draining from her face. She started to stand, then froze completely because as she looked past me, behind me, her expression changed from shock to pure horror. I turned slightly. The man walking toward our table was tall, dark-haired, sharply dressed. One of my business partners, and coincidentally Sarah's old college friend. His name was Nathan. But from the way Chloe's lips trembled, from the whisper that escaped her mouth, "Oh God, Nathan," I realized he wasn't just anyone to her. He was the man she'd left me for, the man who had abandoned her just as she'd abandoned me. And now fate had seated us all in the same restaurant years later, beneath the same flickering candles. Sarah smiled warmly at him. "Nathan, you made it." He grinned, oblivious to the storm unraveling around us. "Wouldn't miss it." I watched Chloe crumble silently in her chair, eyes darting between us. Her chest rose and fell in quick, panicked breaths. She whispered, "You're with her?" I didn't answer. Sarah glanced between us, confused. Do you two know each other? Chloe looked at me, pleading silently for mercy, for the truth not to be spoken aloud. But something inside me, years of pain, humiliation, sleepless nights, rose to the surface. Yes, I said quietly. We used to be married. The table fell silent. Nathan's smile vanished. Sarah's face went pale. Chloe looked like she might faint. Nathan muttered, "Chloe." Her voice broke. You said you'd never tell him. Nathan turned away, jaw clenched. You promised you'd never contact me again. Sarah's hand trembled against mine. Brandon, what is this? I took a deep breath. This is the woman who walked out on me 5 years ago. The woman who left me sitting alone in this very restaurant. Chloe began to cry. Quiet, shaking sobs that made the entire room turn to look. I didn't know he was your friend, she choked out. I looked her in the eye. You didn't care who you hurt then. Why should it matter now? The waiter appeared awkwardly beside us, asking if everything was all right. Nobody answered. Sarah rose slowly, her voice steady but tight. Let's go, Brandon. I nodded, stood and took her hand. But before leaving, I looked back one last time. Chloe sat alone at the table, face buried in her hands, surrounded by the same flickering candlelight that had once made her seem angelic. Now it only highlighted how broken she'd become. Outside, the night air felt cold and clean. Sarah didn't speak for a while, and I didn't push her to. We walked in silence down Congress Avenue until she finally said, That was her, wasn't it? Yes. Do you still love her? I stopped walking, looked at her. The woman who'd stood by me through healing and heartache, who'd rebuilt me without even knowing the pieces she was fixing. No, I said softly. I stopped loving her the day she left. I just didn't realize it until tonight. Sarah nodded, her fingers tightening around mine. Let's go home. As we walked away, I glanced back through the restaurant window one last time. Chloe was still there, head bowed, alone again. This time, by her own doing. Maybe some people never stop running from their choices. But me, I'd finally stopped chasing ghosts. And for the first time in 5 years, I didn't feel like the one left behind.